Good afternoon and welcome to the August 9th, 2022 Planning and Zoning meeting for the City of Apopka. If you would please stand and follow me with a moment of silent prayer and the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If anyone here is here to speak on an item that is not included in the agenda, now would be the time to do that. If you have a specific agenda item you would like to speak on, please wait until that item comes up, come to the lectern and give us our name and address, and you'll be allowed to speak during the public comment forum. We will call for that during each agenda item. Do we have a set of minutes to approve? Aaron? We do not? Okay. All righty. First hearing would be the Citrus Ridge Property Future Land Use Amendment. Owner Citrus Ridge Real Estate, care of Jose Quintero. Applicant Citrus Ridge Real Estate, care of Jose Quintero. West of Binion Road, north of Clear Lake Estates Residential Subdivision.
Good evening, Jean Sanchez with the Planning and Zoning Division. This is a request to recommend approval of the future land use amendment of the Citrus Ridge property from residential low to agriculture. The subject property is located west of Binion Road and north adjacent of Clear Lake Estates Residential Subdivision. The proposed future land use designation of agriculture is compatible with the ag future land use designation of the current site of Camp Weewa to the east. The applicant is also applying for agriculture zoning district, which is compatible with the proposed future land use designation. The DRC recommends approval, and the recommended motion is to recommend approval of the change of future land use designation from residential low to agriculture, subject to the information and findings in the staff report. Staff and applicant are available for questions.
Thank you. Does anyone have questions of staff?
No, sir.
Does anyone have questions of the applicant? Okay, bring it back to the board. Any discussion?
I'd like to say something, Mr. Chairman. First of all, Mr. Quintero, thank you. It's a pleasure to see property preserved instead of split up, so I'll say that. Thank you. That's it.
All right. We're open for a motion.
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chairman, to find and propose the change in land in future land use from residential low 0 to 5 dwelling units per acre to agriculture 1 dwelling unit per acre, consistent with the Comprehensive Plan and Land Development Code, and compatible with the character of the surrounding areas, recommending approval of the future land use amendment based on the findings and facts presented in the staff report and exhibits.
Motion by Commissioner Stanley. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Ryan. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. Same property, Citrus Ridge property change of use. Owner Citrus Ridge Real Estate, care of Jose Quintero, okay. West of Binion Road, north of Clear Lake Estates Residential Subdivision.
Jean Sanchez with the Community Development Department. This is a request to recommend approval of the zoning amendment for Citrus Ridge property from RSF 1B, Residential Single Family Large Lot District, to AG Agriculture District. The subject property is currently vacant, and the applicant plans to construct 1 single-family unit in the parcel. It's approximately a total of 19.11 acres in size, and it's also the applicant's intention to maintain the rural setting. The ag district is compatible with the surrounding area due to its vicinity to the Camp Weewa site. The DRC recommends approval, and the recommended motion is to recommend approval of the change of zoning from RSF 1B Residential Single Family Large Lot District to Agriculture District. Staff and applicant are available for questions.
Thank you. Any questions of staff or the applicant? No, sir. Bring it back to the board for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I find the proposed Citrus Ridge change of zoning consistent with the comprehensive plan and land development code and compatible with the character of the surrounding areas. Recommending approval of the proposed change of zoning from RSF-1B, Residential Single Family Large Lot District, to AG, Agricultural District, based on the findings and facts presented in the staff report and exhibits.
Motion by Commissioner Washington. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Norwood. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to Kelly Park South Future Land Use Amendment. Owners, Kelly Park Road Ventures LLC, Kelly Park Land Investment LLC, Harskip LLC. Applicants Polos and Bennett, care of Lance Bennett P.E., location 4303 and 4405 West Kelly Park Road.
Jean Sanchez with the Planning and Zoning Division. This is a request to recommend approval of the small-scale future land use amendment for Kelly Park South from rural settlement to mixed use. The subject property sits north of Kelly Park Road, east of Round Lake Road, and west of Effie Road, approximately 45.9 acres in size. The property is also located within the 1-mile radius of State Road 429 and Kelly Park Road. The city's comprehensive plan and KPI form-based code require that the property is assigned a mixed-use future land use designation before it is developed. The applicant has also submitted a rezoning application, which is the preceding item on the agenda. At this time, the DRC recommends approval, and the recommended motion is to recommend approval to amend the future land use map from rural settlement to mixed use. Staff and applicant are available for questions.
Thank you. Does anyone have questions of staff? No, sir. Anyone have questions for the applicant? All right, we'll bring it back to the commission for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we find the proposed change in future land use from rural settlement to mixed use consistent with the comprehensive plan and land development code and compatible with the character of the surrounding areas, recommending approval of the future land use amendment based on the findings and facts presented in the staff report and exhibits.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Arendo. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Stanley. Any discussion? Bring it to a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, so we are on to Kelly Park South again, change of zoning and master plan, Kelly Park Load Ventures LLC, Kelly Park Land Investment LLC, Harskip LLC, and applicant is Polos and Bennett, care of Lance Bennett P.E.
Jean Sanchez with the Planning and Zoning Division. This is a request to recommend approval of the Kelly Park South rezoning from Ag to KPI MU Kelly Park Interchange Mixed Use with the assignment of transition and village center overlays and master plan. Sorry. The applicant is requesting a rezoning from Ag to KPI MU and an assignment of transition and village center overlays as it is based on the regulating plan for the KPI, kind of bisects both overlay areas. The master plan proposes the development of 95 single-family residences and proposes future land use development that consists of 350 multifamily units and approximately 5 acres of commercial uses. 35 single-family units will have a minimum lot width of 56 feet, and 58 single-family units will have a minimum lot width of 40 feet. The residential units will have a minimum living area of 1,200 square feet, and those with a minimum lot width of 40 feet will be rear-loaded. There are no minimum or maximum living area standards and lot size requirements in the KPI form-based code area. The multifamily and commercial portions will undergo separate development review processes. The master plan also depicts a total area of 4.6 acres of open space and amenity for the single-family portion. The amenity open space program for the single-family section includes a sidewalk, tot lot, benches, picnic area, playfield, dog park, and pockets of passive open spaces. Supplementary open space amenity areas will be provided at the time of development of the multifamily portion to meet a total minimum requirement of 15% open space. The proposed access for this project is on Kelly Park Road. Additionally, the master plan shows 3 connections to the eastern parcels, 2 connections to the north, 1 connection to the west and southwest adjacent parcels. The DRC recommends approval. The recommended motion is to recommend approval of the proposed change of zoning from agriculture to KPI-MU, Kelly Park Interchange Mixed Use, with the assignment of transition and village center overlay districts and its accompanying master plan. Staff and applicant are available for questions.
Thank you. Anyone have questions of staff?
Yes, sir.
Questions of the applicant? Okay. Anyone from the public here wish to speak on this matter? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board for a motion.
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chairman, to find the proposed Kelly Park South change of zoning and master plan consistent with the comprehensive plan and land development code and compatible with the character of the surrounding areas, recommending approval of the proposed change of zoning from agriculture to KPI-MU Kelly Park Interchange Mixed Use, assignment of transition and village center overlay districts, and approval of the master plan based on the findings and facts presented by staff and the exhibits.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Stanley. Do I have a second? Second by Commissioner Ryan. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 5, 722 South Central Avenue Future Land Use Amendment. Owners Marion B. White and Felicia Denise Aiken. Applicant Beckwood Management Group, care of Rogers Beckett. Location 722 South Central Avenue.
Jean Sanchez with the Planning and Zoning Division. This is a request to recommend approval of the future land use amendment for 722 South Central Avenue from commercial to residential low. The property is on the southwest corner of 7th Street and Central Avenue. The proposed future land use designation of residential low is compatible with the parcels east adjacent of the subject properties. Properties on the east have a future land use designation of residential low as well. This amendment is consistent with the existing single-family residence on the property. Current zoning is mixed-use downtown, MUD, compatible with the proposed future land use designation. The DRC recommends approval, and the recommended motion is to recommend approval of amending the future land use designation from commercial to residential low. Staff and applicant are available for questions.
Great, thank you. Does anyone have questions of staff?
No, sir.
Or the applicant?
No, sir.
Does anyone from the public here wish to speak on this matter? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the board for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we find the proposed change in future land use from commercial to residential low consistent with the comprehensive plan and land development code and compatible with the character of the surrounding area, recommending approval of the future land use amendment based on the findings and facts presented in the staff reports and exhibits.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Norwood. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Washington. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. Item number 6, Roseville Farms LLC and Roseville Farms, LC. Applicant is the Daily Design Group, care of Thomas Daly. The northeast corner of Pond Can Road and Pines Road, request approval of future land use map amendment.
For the record, Jean Sanchez with the Planning and Zoning Division. This is a request to recommend approval of the future land use amendment for Poncan Pines from mixed use to residential low suburban. The subject properties are located on the northeast corner of Poncan Road and Poncan Pines Road. The proposed future land use designation of commercial, proposed land use designation of residential low is compatible with the city's comprehensive plan future land use element policy 3.5, limiting residential development north of Poncan Road and west of Rock Springs Road / Park Avenue, restricted to no more than 2 dwelling units per acre unless otherwise authorized through the KPI form-based code. The applicant is also applying for RSF 1B, residential single-family large lot zoning district, which is compatible with the proposed residential low suburban future land use designation. The DRC recommends approval. The recommended motion is to recommend approval of the change of future land use designation from mixed use to residential low suburban, subject to the information and findings in the staff report. Staff and applicant are available for questions.
Thank you. Does anyone have a question of staff or the applicant? Does anyone from the public here wish to speak on this matter? Sir, if you will give us your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Jim Riffle, 2536 West Pond Can Road, Apopka, Florida. I live cattywampus from the subject property on 7 gorgeous acres in Apopka. Love it there. Thank you, guys, for letting me speak, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. It's a little hard for me to come up and talk to y'all because I'm a property rights guy, and I hate to talk against another man's plans for his property. My concerns are simply safety. A lot of accidents in that curve. I know you're familiar with it. As you pass the Wolf Branch schools, you come into a pretty heavy set of curves, and people don't always make it out. I've looked at a few things that I don't understand very well. Maybe you can illuminate these for me. Quality level of service. I know that's something that is always a concern in Central Florida area. We've got a lot of building, and we've got a lot of, in my opinion, substandard transportation systems. So we are way below what is expected for the Pond Can Road area, and for that matter, all of Apopka. I've learned that our level of service in that area is level E. You know, it's not enough. So I think that when you look at some of these numbers, they get away from me. But they suggest that the peak capacity is about 15,900 vehicles a day. Right now, the last numbers are from 2020, and COVID slowed things down a little bit. So they're still suggesting it's only about 1,000 vehicles a day out there. But if you sit on Pond Can Road or Plymouth Sorrento Road or Kelly Park Road, I don't know how important the level of service is. There's a lot of traffic. And since 2020, there have been many improvements or developments and approved all up and down Plymouth Sorrento, Kelly Park. You know, they're coming and they're being built right now. I looked for something called a traffic impact analysis, and that's a little above my pay grade. But it is all numbers, but the reality is you drive on these roads, you'll understand what people see every day. I'm told, related to this development, that the vehicle trips per household per day is calculated at 9.44. I don't know where they get these numbers. But that makes, for 61 homes, about 575.8 homes per day accessing Pond Can Road at Pond Can Pines in a curve, in a school zone, with opposite traffic coming out of Weekiver Run. And that just seems dangerous to me. Now, this is a county road. You're going to approve homes in the city of Apopka. But there, I presume, and I've made a couple phone calls, haven't been successful, that there's going to have to be some improvements to Pond Can to allow all of these extra car trips a day. And I do, back up a little bit. MI Homes built Weekiver Run. They're a quality builder. I know they'll do a good job over there. They're building larger lot homes, and that's much appreciated. Still comes back to the safety. Two things that are anecdotal. When Weekiver Run was built, they have a very long entrance off of Pond Can to their Pond Can entry. And engineers probably did a great job. City of Apopka did a great job looking at all the engineering and approving that subdivision. It is a very nice subdivision. But about a week after they started using that, and my days may be off a little bit, we had one of those rains like we had this afternoon, and I'm sorry. Those rains previously pushed cars off the road on Pond Can Road, pushed them off the road. They built the biggest French drain I've ever seen in my life to kind of combat that, but there still is a lot of water coming from that direction, and I expect now with them improving Pond Can Pines Road, there can be that expected drainage issue. And I know that's, again, you guys do a good job. The city of Apopka does a good job of planning these developments, but somebody missed that. One more thing, and again, it's anecdotal. I have to sell a car, and I use Pond Can, and I can sell just about anything Pond Can or give anything away that I want. I mean, they come by and they take it. Sometimes they take it out of my truck before I can unload it. So I'm selling a car on Sunday morning. I put it out there at about 7:30 in the morning, and I hear an exotic car heading west from the east. And I know it's exotic. I heard them begin to accelerate, much like the motorcycles do on the weekends. And my guess is when he come through those curves in a straight line heading towards Plymouth Serenity, you got about a mile of road in front of you, he was probably going 80 miles an hour, maybe faster. Now, it was a car that was only about that tall. I couldn't get in or out of it, but it was a beautiful car. I think it was a Lamborghini. I saw the badge. I have a 1930 station wagon, a Woody. If I'd been coming out of my driveway, there'd be splinters all the way to 441. I wouldn't have made it. The safety issue for that access point is going to be difficult to figure out, if not impossible to figure out. Again, I'm not opposed to development per se, but getting people in and out of there and traveling to and from in that area is difficult. Thank you, gentlemen.
Mr. Riddle, thank you. Perhaps staff can answer those two questions as far as the drainage and is the traffic study done, and is there any planned improvements?
At this stage, we don't have a site plan. This is land use and zoning only. When those are brought up in regards to for the full review, all the transportation will be reviewed. Any improvements right now, we're already getting property dedicated for the turn lane and for bikeways on the north side. Same thing with drainage. I have seen a conceptual plan that does have drainage. It has to be retained on site. Anything that the road that they're going to be accessing, Pond Can Pines, is actually an existing road. They are going to be required to do sidewalks on the eastern side of that road for access to the residential. The west side is already developed with large lot development, and the agricultural property in the north it's basically got a private access going north of the existing road that's there. But all the normal improvements that we would look at for drainage and for transportation and access are kind of in the normal review process when we get to that minor development plan or major development plan, because it's over 25 units.
All right, thank you.
You'll be
May I ask a
you'll be
question?
singing again.
I'm sorry?
May I ask a question to staff?
Absolutely.
The property to the west is largely developed?
That's yeah, with that's the large lot developments. It's all those right there.
They're all,
Yeah,
I wondered,
yeah,
the
those
term
are,
development, they're all 2.5 acres or
yeah,
more.
yeah, those probably won't be getting changed anytime soon.
No, I don't think so.
Now,
Again-
the nursery farther to the north and to the west of this, for that little bit of northern portion, that could go, but we don't know when. They'd have to dedicate road right away.
It's an active business.
Yes,
It's a
yeah,
very
that's why I
active
don't think it'll
business.
change anytime soon for, for the farms there.
All right, thank you, Mr. Riddle.
Thank you, appreciate it.
All right, is there anyone else who wishes to speak on this matter? Name and address for the record, sir, please.
Yes, good evening. My name is Bill Mackey. I'm a landscape architect and land planner with the Daily Design Group. We're the applicants for this project. First of all, thank you for your time. And in relation to the gentleman's, we did comments. We held a community meeting back in April and May, and honestly, the traffic at that intersection was the big concern that we got from the community meeting that we held. We understand the neighbors' concerns. We are working with Orange County. We're going to be working with Apopka and our traffic engineers to come up with the safest possible intersection as possible, because we're going to have residents living there as well, and they're going to be using the same intersection. We are donating land along West Poncan Road right-of-way to help with this improvement situation. So it is an issue that we recognize. We will be working with staff and everybody in order to come up with an amenable solution for the intersection. I would just like to remind you that we are asking to downzone the property from existing entitlements that would, according to the staff report, allow about 475 dwelling units and about 1 million square feet of commercial on this property. So what we're asking for will greatly reduce any potential impacts that's currently entitled for the property. And we ask you for your support. We have staff support, and we're here for, I have Tina Demostine with MI Homes, as well as Tom Daly with my office, if you have any further questions.
Anyone have any questions of that?
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Any additional questions of staff?
No, sir.
All right. Well, anyone else here to speak on this matter? Very well, bring it back for a motion.
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chairman, find the proposed change in future land use from mixed use 0 to 15 dwelling units per acre and 1.0 floor area ratio to residential low suburban 0.2 dwelling units per acre, consistent with the comprehensive plan and land development code and compatible with the character of the surrounding areas, recommending approval of the future land use amendment based on the findings and facts presented in the staff report and exhibits.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Stanley. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Rendo. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. Poncan Pines change of use, owners Roseville Farm LLC,
Zoning.
Roseville Farms LC, applicant Daily Design Group, Kara Thomas Daily, northeast corner, Poncan Road, Poncan Pines Road. You're busy tonight, Ms. Sanchez, aren't you?
It's just me tonight. Jean Sanchez with the Community Development Department. This is a request to recommend approval of the zoning amendment for Poncan Pines from MUESGT, Mixed Use East Shore Gateway District, to RSF 1B, Residential Single Family Large Lot District. The RSF 1B district is compatible with the surrounding area due to subdivisions with comparable sized lots found in parcels in the vicinity, and the applicant intends to develop a residential subdivision. DRC recommends approval, and the recommended motion is to recommend approval of the proposed change of zoning from MUESGT to RSF 1B. Staff and applicant are available for questions.
Thank you. Any questions of staff or applicant?
No, sir.
Bring it back to the board for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I find the proposed Poncan Pines change of zoning consistent with the comprehensive plan and land development code and compatible with the character of the surrounding areas, recommending approval of the proposed change of zoning from mixed-use ESGT, mixed-use East Shore Gateway District to RSF 1B, residential single-family lodge lot district based on the findings and facts presented in the staff report and exhibits.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Odena. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Washington. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. Item number 8, be a future land use amendment for Wingspan ABC Kelly Park. Owners PMS1 REO LEC, Harvey Goodwin, SAP Rodney D. Life Estate, and Sandra D. Stapp, applicant Polos and Bennett, Carol Lance Bennett, northwest corner of Kelly Park Road and Plymouth Sorrento Road.
For the record, Jean Sanchez with the Planning and Zoning Division. This is a request to recommend approval of the small-scale future land use amendment for Wingspan ABC Kelly Park from county rural to mixed use. Subject property sits on the northwest corner of Kelly Park Road and Plymouth Sorrento Road, approximately 21 acres in size. The property is also located within the 1-mile radius of State Road 429 and Kelly Park Road. For the city's comprehensive plan and KPI form-based code, it is required that this property is assigned a mixed-use future land use designation. The applicant has also submitted a rezoning application, which is the next item on the agenda. The DRC recommends approval, and the recommended motion is to recommend approval to amend the future land use map from county rural to mixed use. Staff and applicant are available for questions.
Thank you. Then we have questions of staff.
Yeah, I have a question, staff. The southern entrance to this subdivision, does it line up or is it near where the public's entrance is? How close is it? I can't tell on this map here.
That's probably under the zoning, not the future land use right now with the master plan. Do you want to discuss that now, the master plan? That's an exhibit with the zoning. This is currently,
Yeah, I understand it's zoned, but can we?
Well, we can look at it, yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
can you get ahead of the curve here?
I'll go ahead and I'll have the applicant come here and explain to you exactly the entrance for this. I know he's pretty privy to the plans for Kelly Park Road.
This actually lines up, it lines up with the main entrance for the north-south road that is to the west of Publix. Publix has basically two entrances. One
Right,
is,
well, the main entrance though. on
their,
the-
their
on the
main
north-
entrance, no, because that's over to the east of,
How far apart is it?
um,
Because I know
probably
that there's an
400
issue
feet or
with
so.
with the
It's,
Publix.
it's within regulation, it's within like 400 feet or so.
I know, but there's an issue with the, with the Publix on Rock Springs Ridge. Their, the north exit is too close to that dollar store, and there's always accidents going on there because of people turning right and left.
Okay,
So I just want to make sure it's not too close to the Publix.
no, this is not. It's a
How far?
totally different area, though, also.
All right, well, let's let the applicant respond.
Okay.
Your name and address for the record, sir, please.
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Chairman. Lance Bennett, Wilson Bennett, 2602 East Livingston Street, Orlando, Florida. I think, yeah, maybe there's one more graphic. Yeah. Yes, okay, fine. Let me go back. One. Gene, does anybody pull this one up? 'Cause this one actually
That was the
shows.
one.
Okay, we'll just go with that. So, Mr. Ryan, this is our access point off West Kelly Park Road.
Right.
The Publix entrance is directly across West Kelly Park Road. And then ultimately, the city, as you're aware, has done a study for West Kelly Park Road to to put a median. And our understanding is, ultimately there will be a median in this location as well.
Will there be a turning lane there?
Access points are kind of to be determined. I know Pam will be working with the consultant through that design.
There'll be this,
Will be a left turn lane here.
The turn lane on the left side.
back to the aerial. I'd like to zoom in on this if possible. This is the entrance right here for this property. That's this right here.
Right.
So this is the main road, the internal road that's going down to the south. This is Plymouth Sorrento here. Publix does have an entrance here.
Correct.
That's what I would consider their main entrance, because this is actually the road, it's the connector road to the southern properties that will eventually go through. This distance from here to here there's not gonna be any more entrances there. From here, probably over to the traffic light, that's where we'll probably have the median put in. So anybody coming out here will not be able to turn left. It will be a right in, right out. This
Yeah,
is
I don't
where
think
we'll
they
have
can, I don't think they
full
can turn left now, can they?
Pardon?
They can't turn left now.
They can turn left onto Plymouth Sorrento going eastbound.
Right. Right.
Left. And there will be a left-hand turn lane coming into here, from the intersection here. And obviously a right-hand turn also. This will be basically full access here.
Well, my concern is traffic coming from Kelly Park Road. Right. Trying to turn left into Publix while they're trying to turn right onto Kelly Park out of the subdivision. I turn left out of the subdivision.
There's no subdivisions here.
Well, there's going to be.
No, this is all commercial in this area, this concentrated area. There's gonna be residential up in this area, there's commercial here, and there's commercial buildings up in the front area here.
Okay. So they won't have access to that road?
Say again, I'm sorry.
They won't have access to the road then? Well, yeah, they will.
We'll have access through their main entrance, which is right here. And then they also have an access point on Plymouth Sorrento up farther north from the intersection of Plymouth Sorrento and Kelly Park.
I just want to make sure it doesn't interfere with the public interest, because I know there's going to be a lot of traffic turning right and left and coming and going.
There'll be a lot of traffic, that's for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
But, that's why we're four-laning Kelly Park also from Plymouth Sorrento over to Rock Springs.
All right, we'll see how it goes then.
That's pretty much it. That's what we look at from the transportation people.
All right, thank you. Do we have any more questions of the applicant while we have him?
I have a question for Jim, though.
Yep.
Okay.
Jim,
Thank you, sir. He has a question, Jim, for you.
Okay, I'm here.
all right. All right, I think you said it, but I just want to make sure I'm clear.
Can you come up to the mic? Can you come up to the mic a little bit? I can't hear you over here. Thank you.
Is that better?
Yes.
I have a pretty good grasp of the whole idea up there, and I see the large area. The large area that's at the intersection of Plymouth Sorrento and Kelly Park, and I see the main road. I believe you said that main road going down to Kelly Park is adjacent to the road into the Publix Plaza? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, this is the wingspan portion here. This is their main entrance coming in.
Yes.
This is not part of their project. There might be a right in, right out here, but but there's also connection features here going to the north. So this will probably be the only access that this will have going onto Plymouth Sorrento. We don't know yet, though, because we haven't done any traffic studies for this property.
Okay.
But this lines up with the main road that will eventually go all the way south to
Okay.
Appy Lane.
Okay.
You've already looked at different subdivisions for a couple different developments down here and another one just north of Appy, where Appy Lane would go across, and where Joey McGuckin Road is,
Yeah.
that will end up going underneath the 429 over to the west side.
All right.
We're trying to get all that interconnectivity with all the roadways, with all of these projects, and it is happening very fast. I know when we were talking about this about 4 or 5 years ago, everybody was wondering, when is this ever going to happen? It's happening, and it's happening actually a lot faster than what everybody dreamt, I guess you'd say
And
at the
and
time.
I'm the one that kept on asking you about it. So
Yep.
now it's coming to fruition,
Yep,
yeah, so.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you, Jim.
sure.
All right. Do we have anyone here from the public wishes to speak on this matter? Give us your name and address for the record, please, sir.
Up here. Up.
Wait till you're at the
It-
microphone,
It'll
please.
record from the mic here.
Thank you.
Sure.
Harvey Godwin, Post Office Box 163, Plymouth. I am one of the primaries here. Do we have the pointer?
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. We're addressing more than one issue here. One is there are two entrances. I was informed that because these three properties here are the ones that go through the property that I own now. This one that comes across has a side exit into, this is not public. This is a private held piece of property. We don't want an exit into somebody's side yard without, did you get eminent domain? And do you have the rights to do that? Or they are going to adhere to it when they develop their part. I'm sure that they will develop it, and I'm sure that they will have the need for it. But there is absolutely nothing in place that says that this is where we have an exit. And the same thing is true with the one that comes from this into the block area in the corner. There are currently two pieces of property that are being developed here across from the public's entrance. If we do this, there are three commercial buildings, and the rest of this is residential. We're doing the same thing here that we did over here. We're emptying, we're calling one of our exits something that empties into somebody's private property. Nobody owns that. Somebody does. Somebody owns that. We can't just ignore the person that we're emptying the traffic into his side yard. And we can't go through the middle of his property. He owns that entire strip. That strip all the way from Plymouth Sorrento in. Do you want somebody to put a road through the middle of your property? And that's what we're doing. And this needs to be better planned and better adhered to. Better adhered to because I'm one of the ones that sat here in this auditorium and watched these papers go back and forth, I sat here virtually every one of the meetings as these papers went back and forth and said, when this thing came up that said that you have to have a 1 mile radius, when they drew a 1 mile radius, somebody had to come up with something that said, Apopka wants what for their development? What are we doing for the zoning? And I sat here with several times. It was not one time. It was not 2 times. I quit counting. It went back and forth between here and you and upstairs and across the street and to Tallahassee, back and forth. These papers went back and forth. I had a list of, it's a pamphlet of some 80 pages, and I offered it to the person that was supposedly rendering and representing me tonight, No, he's not familiar. Nobody here is here to represent me. I am doing this on my own. This is something he should be doing. And the bottom line is, and I'm not going to take my personal issues up with the council. Thank you for your time. But the time that I offered him the pages that came back from Tallahassee and said, this is what Apopka wants for our future growth and development, and this is what we see for our zoning. It was 80 pages thick, and it had a map on the front of it. Yes, it looks akin to a map that we can still find the map. There's your map. There's your 429 in Kelly Park. Those two red markings, heavy red, are supposed to be village centers. The village center had a mark on it that said, we are here to represent the retail industry. Where is the retail? And the retail, as it came back and forth, the buildings were supposed to be of the old Italian style as we would find in our current Baldwin Park. None of that is being done. The walls
Sir,
are not against the street.
Sir?
Sir?
Yes.
Sir, could you?
4 minutes.
Can you tell us your specific concerns here?
Yes, sir.
We're getting a little off center and you're out of time, please.
We have deviated from what came back from Tallahassee. That came back. That's what I expected when I did what I did. And that's not what's being done. And the concern about the two entrances and exits. The old style building that we were expecting to find as a Baldwin Park, there's nothing here.
The style and the look of the building is not the issue that we're discussing here. If you have something that's relative to the planning and zoning, as in the traffic that you mentioned, that's fine, we can address that.
Yes, sir.
But the design and look and feel and color of the building is irrelevant to us.
No, it was the paper that we agreed upon
Yes,
as
sir,
a
I
city of
understand.
Apopka.
But we need to move forward, so if.
As
thank
a
you for
city
your
of
time.
Apopka, we did agree, did we not? You sent it to Tallahassee for approval. And it came back, and this is what you agreed to. I had nothing to do with any of that. I just sat here and participated in what was happening.
Can I address this real quick?
Thank you, Mr. Hiss.
Sure. This is a land use that's not having to deal with the density or the plan itself. This is just the land use and the zoning for the property. It's not to discuss whether or not it's commercial or residential. This does follow what was approved that Tallahassee did review, and it is part of our comprehensive plan. This is a mixed-use product. There's actually four commercial buildings and residential, and it is allowed to mix. There was no design guidelines that were part of that development, the development plan for the Kelly Park interchange.
Mr. Hiss.
I've got the document, and it's in the
differ with you
comprehensive.
because-
That's okay, but
Because I had the 80 pages sitting in front of me when he did what he did.
Again.
Those 80 pages
but-
said
but-
that there was something there. And now you're going to tell all these people that it doesn't matter what you say, we're going to see it our way. Is that the way you want to be represented? That's the way you're representing yourself. Thank you. I appreciate your time. I'm obviously offending whoever I'm offending. But thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you, sir.
All righty.
Is the applicant here? Is the applicant here?
Yeah.
Get Lance Bennett, Wilson Bennett. I
Are
think,
there any government loans involved in this project?
sorry,
Any government loans involved in this project?
government loans?
Like HUD or any any government loans at all? Okay.
Government financing.
No.
Any further questions of the applicant?
I have one comment, slightly to the second part of it, but thank you for, at least if these names hold, you know, that you have horse-related names. I think that's good for this, for the area, to use Galloping Drive and stuff like that. I hope that holds to the final development. I think it's good and consistent use with the area. Thank you for that.
Very well. Any further questions? No, sir. All righty. Okay, thank you. All right, we'll bring it back to the commission for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I find a proposed change in future land use from county rural to mixed use, consistent with the comprehensive plan and land development code, and compatible with the character of the surrounding areas, recommending approval of the future land use amendment based on the findings and facts presented in the staff report and exhibits.
Thank you. Commissioner Washington, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Dumey. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. We are on the same property wingspan, ABC Kelly Park change of zoning and master plan. Owners PMS1 REO LEC, Harry Godwin, SAP Rodney D. Life Estate, and Sandra D. Sapp. Applicant Polos and Bennett LLC, care of Lance Bennett.
Again, Jean Sanchez with the Planning and Zoning Division. This is a request to recommend approval of the Wingspan ABC Kelly Park rezoning from County A1 Citrus Rural to KPI MU Kelly Park Interchange Mixed Use with the assignment of Village Center overlay and its master plan. The rezoning from County A1 to KPI MU and assignment of Village Center Overlay District is compatible with the intent of the KPI Form-Based Code. The Village Center Overlay permits a minimum density of 7.5 dwelling units per acre, maximum density of 20 dwelling units per acre, as well as a minimum floor area ratio of 0.3 and maximum of 1.0. In addition, the applicant is requesting approval of the accompanying master plan. The master plan proposes the development of 368 multifamily units. The applicant is proposing 151 bedroom units, 174 two-bedroom units, and 44 three-bedroom units. The applicant is also proposing a future development that consists of about 49,500 square feet of commercial uses with a proposed FAR of 0.36. The commercial portion will undergo a separate development review process. For the multifamily portion, the master plan depicts a total area of 2.72 acres of open space and amenity. The amenity open space program includes covered pavilion, plazas, pool, deck, and lounge areas, passive open spaces, and pocket parks. The proposed access points for this project are on Kelly Park Road and Plymouth Sorrento Road. Additionally, the master plan shows a connection to the northern and western adjacent parcels, as well as a connection to the future commercial development on the south. DRC recommends approval of the change of zoning and the master plan. The recommended motion is to recommend approval of the proposed change of zoning from County A1 to KPI MU with the assignment of the Village Center Overlay District and in its master plan. Staff and applicant are available for questions.
Thank you. Does anyone have additional questions of staff?
No, sir.
Anyone have questions of the applicant? Right, is there anyone here from the public that wishes to speak on this matter? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the board for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion that we find the proposed wingspan, ABC Kelly Park, change of zoning and master plan consistent with the comprehensive plan and land development code and compatible with the character of the surrounding areas, recommending approval of the proposed change of zoning from County A1 Citrus Rural to KPI MU Kelly Park Interchange Mixed Use, assignment of Village Center Overlay District, and approval of the master plan based on the findings and facts presented in the staff reports and exhibits.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Norwood. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Stanley. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay. On to the site plans. All right, site plan number 1 would be the Windrose plat, owners Four Star USA Real Estate Group, care of Chris Tyree, applicant Vanessa Hagen Bruslin, Inc., care of James R. Hoffman, location west of Plymouth Sorrento Road, east of State Road 429, and north of Kelly Park Road.
For the record, Jean Sanchez with the Planning and Zoning Division. This is a request to recommend approval of the plat for Windrose Residential Subdivision. The subject property is located west of Plymouth Sorrento Road, east of State Road 429, and north of Kelly Park Road.
Excuse me, sir. Could you please hold your comments or go outside, please? Thank you. Go ahead, Jean.
The Windrose Residential Subdivision, formerly known as Orlando Beltway East, the plat proposes a total of 202 single-family detached residential lots in a single phase. The plat is consistent with the Kelly Park Interchange Master Plan approved by City Council on October 21, 2020, and the Major Development Plan approved by City Council on August 4, 2021. The construction site plan was approved by the Development Review Committee on May 11, 2022. The DRC recommends approval. The recommended motion is to recommend approval of the Windrose Residential Subdivision plat. Staff and applicant are available for questions.
Thank you. Does anyone have questions of staff?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I see in the southern part of the subdivision, some of the lots are 22 feet across, is that correct?
Yes, sir. I'll have James Hoffman here. He is the PE for the project.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, fellow commissioners. My name is James Hoffman with VHB, offices at 225 East Robinson Street. I'm the civil engineer and project manager for the property. So the smaller lots you see in question, those are townhome units. So each unit has a fee simple property associated with it, but those are blocks of, it's a little hard to see on the screen, but they vary in width, a mix of like 4 to 8 unit townhome buildings. So those are the smaller lots you're looking at along the southern border.
So what can you build on a 20-foot wide lot?
Well, standard market townhomes these days range from 20, 22, sometimes up to 25, but 20 is a very common townhome lot. So you have a building pad that may have 4, 6, 8 units, sometimes more, and each dwelling has their own individual townhome access, rear garage, individual parking on lot for each lots. So these are full fee simple units. They obviously share a common roof, certain common elements, and those are governed, by their townhome documents.
All right, thank you very much.
Any additional questions of the applicant?
No, sir.
Where is the parking provided for these folks?
We have a detailed parking table that was provided with the construction site plan that was reviewed by staff. We have driveway parking for all of those townhome units. There's also a lot of on-street parking available for guests, overflow parking, visitors, and so forth throughout the development. I just want to reiterate that the construction site plan itself was already approved by staff and is under construction, so this document is the plat that accompanies that and will be the mechanism to convey the individual lots.
Right.
Any further questions?
No, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone from the public here wish to speak on this matter? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the board for motion.
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chairman, to recommend approval of the Windrose plat, subject to the major development plan, construction site plan, and the reviews of the city engineer and city surveyor, and the findings in the staff report.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Stanley. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Dumey. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay. The next item is the Vision Car Wash Special Exception Use. This is quasi judicial. Has anyone on the board had any ex parte communication on this matter?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Seeing none, we'll move forward. Windrose Vision Car Wash 2 LLC and Vision 2 Real Estate Holdings LLC, applicant Florida Engineering Group, care of Gregory Crawford, P.E., location 345 and 355 West Orange Blossom Trail. Surprise, it's Mrs. Sanchez.
I know. Jean Sanchez with the Planning and Zoning Division. This is a request for an approval of the special exception to allow an enclosed car wash use within the MUD mixed-use downtown district. The property is located at 345 and 355 West Orange Blossom Trail, south of Old Dixie Highway and north of Orange Blossom Trail. Subject property has a future land use designation of commercial and within the MUD mixed-use downtown district. It's approximately 1.88 acres and surrounded by retail to the south, vehicle sales to the east and west, and a residential use on the north. The applicant intends to operate a car wash facility which requires a special exception use permit within the MUD. The car wash is conducted within the enclosed building adjacent to Old Dixie Highway. To the greatest extent practicable, the applicant is required to comply with all site design and other standards, including landscaping buffers, ensuring that vacuum areas are not visible from Old Dixie Highway and Orange Blossom Trail rights-of-ways. The DRC is currently reviewing the construction site plan for this project to confirm that proposed site plan will provide adequate and safe access and complies with the rest of the Land Development Code, including required buffers. For Land Development Code Section 2.51G4, a special exception is required to comply with these standards outlined in the staff report as well. The DRC recommends approval. The recommended motion is to approve a special exception to allow an enclosed car wash use within the MUD, subject to the exhibits and findings of the staff report. Staff and applicant are available for questions.
Thank you. Does anyone have questions of staff?
Yes, I have questions.
Commissioner Doom?
So, and I was looking at this plat here, and I'll try to keep these questions relevant, notwithstanding the larger question of whether this is the best use of the property. But when I saw that the drive-through was going to come from 441, and you're going to have a road that goes through the property and to the left, and you have a slow, a turn to the left, and then it goes straight to the back, as witnessed on the north there with the Old Dixie Highway. And my understanding is directly across from that's going to be New Hampshire Road. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
So my concern is going to be that that's going to be used as a cut-through from, because to the south of that, coming westbound on 441, you would have to turn on Hawthorne, or you'd have to go all the way through to the Wawa interchange, to turn right, and then come back down Old Dixie Highway to get on New Hampshire otherwise.
You mean coming south from Old Dixie towards 441?
Well, no, I'm talking about, let's say, going westbound on 441, right, from downtown. You're going out towards.
So you're concerned that they're going to turn into the subdivision off of 441
No.
and cut through?
I'm concerned they're going to turn in this car wash and cut through to get to New Hampshire Road.
Okay. If you look at the site plan, it is a one-way in that front section. That's the one-way area.
Well, okay, so I see that, but see, whenever you turn in, it's a two-way, and then it immediately goes to one-way. I mean, what's going to stop somebody from just driving ahead?
It's one way. It's basically designed for one car. If the car wash developers wanted to put a speed bump or a hump or something like that, they could probably do that if that becomes an obstacle. But there's two major turns, and then it's only a right in and right out going up to where New Hampshire is. They wouldn't be able to make a left-hand turning out there to go towards New Hampshire. They'd have to make a right. At that point, it becomes a police matter for
Yeah, exactly.
people trying to make a U-turn when they come out of
They should make
there.
it right, but I imagine that some people, I say this just from experience, living down by the Wawa and the Sweetwater Car Wash down here. How many people cut through there? And both my wife and I have often got into accidents at that T intersection of Green Acres into the Wawa because people come straight across from there out of that car wash. Or
Yep.
they go down, and again, that's a policing issue. I just want to make sure that we address that that's addressed
It's
adequately.
been looked at, that's why we did the right in, right out at the, off of Old Dixie.
Right. And also the speed bump. I like the speed bump idea, if that's a necessary.
If it
that
becomes
becomes a
necessary,
problem.
that's an option.
Yeah, so one thing we have been working with regards to the city on
Sir,
that, those,
sir,
I'm sorry.
name and address for the record, please.
My name is Greg Crawford. I'm with Florida Engineering Group, 5127 South Orange Avenue, Orlando, Florida, 32809. Sorry about that. Yeah, so as mentioned, as far as the driveway, when you come in off of 441, the intent is basically you're going to pull in and actually turn to the right to go through and actually do the pay station and get through the car
Sure,
wash.
sure.
So we're going to have, basically, we've got from a fire standpoint, we've got to have a certain width on there, but we have narrowed it down to what the width of the fire access is allowed on there. And we will have do not just enter signs on that, basically facing traffic as you pull in. So they're going to see, basically, you got the stop signs and do not enter signs to get there to try to prevent people from going through. They'd be actually going against traffic in order to do that. So coming off of 441, the intent is for them to turn and go up through the pay stations and be able to go through the car wash and then come back through. We've been working with the city also with regards to trying to make sure that traffic that's going up there for Old Dixie Highway is as a right-in, right-out only, that we're not having cars as they're trying to exit from the car wash. Really, the only traffic that's going to be exiting up through there is essentially going to be the traffic coming out of the car wash at that point and going up. Most people are probably going to be going down to 441, but we've actually, since that design where it's got the little, what they call a pork chop there to try to take and force cars, it's a much larger car opening now. I don't know if that might be the next slide, the one that shows the larger pork chop.
It's not on,
Okay.
it's not in the power.
But anyway, so it's a much larger pork chop there to take and try to force people to take. And if you're going out, you are going to be making a right only, and also to prevent cars from making a left turn when they're trying to go from Old Dixie Highway, and also to prevent cars coming from New Hampshire trying to cut through the property.
Right, yeah, okay. As long as you all are aware that that's a concern of people and you have a remedy for it, then I'm
And
not
that
going to have an
Pam's
objection.
been working with us on that, so we've been working back and forth with Pam on trying to get that area to try to take and keep traffic from being a cut through.
Right. And if it does become a problem, how are we going to address that? Because again, being private property, we can't put police officers in there to ticket people.
That is one of the caveats that has been from Pam, is that if there's an issue with that, we will have to deal with trying to come up with a different solution at a later date, if that does indeed become a problem.
Okay. Fair enough.
I have a
Thank you.
question for
Commissioner
you.
Washington, you had a,
Yeah, I do. Okay, so at the top of the diagram, that's 441.
No, the top is Old Dixie.
Oh, that's Old Dixie, okay. At the bottom, then it's 441.
Yeah, so 441's along the bottom, Old Dixie's along the top here.
Okay, so then customers can enter your business from either Old Dixie or 441 to use your services, is that correct?
That's correct. So yeah, coming in off of Old Dixie, coming off of here, they would be able to take and come in, go through and make the circle around to go to the pay stations.
Okay, and where is the car wash building itself?
It's on the north side of the property.
This is the
Right there,
car
that's
wash
the-
building
okay.
here.
All right, now, you got a letter from a neighbor,
Correct.
Marcia Usler. I drove by there myself. I would be concerned too. How do you resolve her issues? If you were her, she'd look at your business, and you want to have a successful car wash. We know that, right? That's why you're gonna be in business. But if you got traffic, coming into Old Dixie and out, how would you feel about that?
Well, as mentioned, it's anticipated the traffic, the majority of the traffic is going to be coming off of Orange Blossom Trail, 441. So that's where a majority of the pass-by traffic is going to be coming from to make it through the circulation and be a smaller percentage that actually through there coming off of Old Dixie Highway. So that's not really going to be anticipated to be the large traffic generator. It's going to be the smaller percentage of traffic actually coming from Old Dixie Highway.
One of the other things that we did when we did not the last glitch amendment, I think it was the glitch amendment before last, it was, I want to say 2877 ordinance number. We anticipated a car wash in this area. And so we did put in the parameters with the 25-foot minimum setback for the building, buffering, thinking of this area so that it could basically give as much buffer as possible for the residents and the other businesses in the area. And they've actually, they've met code completely.
And there was a previous car wash that actually owned the property that actually was approved by the city on it, but it's a different owner now and changed it up to site plan. So compared to the old building that was there, we have gone from 10 foot up to 25 foot in order to comply with the new code within this area. On that, there's also, part of it is also a landscape buffer that's required along the north side of the property. That's a type E buffer. So it's requiring 3 trees per 100 feet, a little bit over 3 trees per 100 feet, about 27, 28 shrubs, and also about 7 or 8 understory trees. So there will be a pretty good buffer with regards to landscape along that particular edge that's part of the code requirement we'll meet when we're going through the construction plan process on that. And I know one of the other concerns from the neighbor was noise from the vacuums, but as you can see, we've got the building here and all of our vacuum stations and the actual motors for the vacuums are actually moved away from the north property line, are actually south of the building. The building will help work as a buffer to take and help deflect that noise. And then obviously the motors are going to be down in here for the vacuum, which are further away and below the building. And it by itself is going to have a 6-foot wall enclosure around it. So it's going to have a wall around it. Then you've also got the building to help take and protect noise from reaching to the north.
Okay,
And
so
the
the
landscape.
vacuuming area
And the
is
landscape.
on the 441 side.
I'm sorry, what's that?
The vacuuming is on the 441 side.
Correct. The vacuums are going to be right here, and 441's on the south here, and then there's a building that's actually between the vacuums and Old Dixie Highway.
Okay, and what will be your hours of operation?
Usually it's 8 to 8.
All right. Any further questions of the applicant?
I do.
Commissioner Rondo?
The concern that I have is that with the noise, and I know what I was reading, you have ways that you're going to try to minimize the noise. From time to time, directly across the street to the south is a funeral home. And I think it would be, I'll just use the word rude, to have the business going on with that incredible noise when a bereaved family is trying to pull out. Are you telling me that the noise would be contained, that it wouldn't be any higher than regular traffic noise?
Well, I mean, you're going to have the vacuums and such run through, and basically it's going to be a normal business that's going to be run there, I guess. Is that what you're talking about as far as the vehicles that are running through there? I mean, they're going to be the same noise as a typical parking lot or cars moving around with a retail or such like that. Is that what you're talking about?
No, what I was talking about was if there was a funeral that day, you know, that some funerals are 1 or 2 cars, some can be 30, and a lot of us stood out on the roadway and saluted one of Apopka's finest not long ago.
I don't know that this business would do much more than, I mean, they've got like some tire stores next door and such like that. They've got certain impact wrenches and such that would go for trying to get tires off. I don't know we're really going to be necessarily any noisier than what they would be. And obviously, we've got the vacuums that are actually not along 441. We're actually back away from. We got a little bit of space between that. There'll also be that same buffer we talked about that's going to be along Old Dixie Highway. It's also required along 441 with the trees and that to help buffer visually and noise.
Well, I think that's what I had read in the packet, that most of the noise theoretically would be on the Old Dixie side.
It's going to be, well, it's going to be north of the roadway, correct? So it's going to be across the street, but between 441 and Old Dixie.
Right. Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
the vacuums themselves, like was mentioned, the main, it's the second row of parking, and then the pumps themselves are more centralized. So the distance from the southern vacuums to where the funeral home, it's probably well over 100 feet. And it's probably about 80 feet from the car wash itself to the home across the street on Old Dixie. But with all the different buffers and where the vacuum pumps themselves are, we try to mitigate that as much as possible with some of the design guidelines that we ended up putting in place for a car wash.
Any
Try to think
additional
of everything we could think of to be able to allow it, but also taking into consideration the neighbors that are in the area.
For me, that was just a matter of respect.
Yes, oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for that. That's, you can tell you put a lot of thought into those.
All right, thank you. Any
One
additional
other-
questions?
One other question, just in regards to the
Commissioner Norwood.
traffic issue that came up at the beginning. You mentioned something about some sort of a traffic calming device being put in. Is that in the plan, or is that after, if we find that there is an issue?
That might be one of those solutions to put in a hump if somebody's trying to dart through, but you're gonna end up having people that are speeding even through neighborhoods that have the speed humps and things like that. But it's one of those things that we're gonna have to see what happens. I mean,
Okay.
I've got people darting through Walmart because they don't want to go at the corner of Hiawassee and 441. So it's,
Well, they're also, the Apopka PD writes people tickets for that. I see them do it down there all the time.
Yeah, on
Cutting
occasion,
behind
yes,
the
I have
dollar
to.
store. They'll sit there behind the dollar store, so they do enforce that fairly well.
yep.
Any additional questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone from the public wish to speak on this matter? Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. My name is Marcia Usler. I live at 397 Old Dixie Highway, and I'm the neighbor who will live directly north to that business. Members of the City of Apopka Planning Commission, ladies, gentlemen, friends, and neighbors, thank you for coming. I'm here to ask the Planning Commission to vote no for another request for a special exception to allow an automated car wash that, under its current business model, plans to operate 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. at 345 and 355 West Orange Blossom Trail in the city of Apopka. Like I said, my name is Marcia Usler. I live across the street from 345 and 355 West Orange Blossom Trail at 397 Old Dixie Highway. If the Planning Commission votes yes for this special exception, I'll feel like Carl Fredrickson in the animated film Up. Carl faced progress and growth that did not value his property or his neighborhood. I have watched the plans to put an express car wash across the street from my home since 2018. I know how Carl felt. A special exception for one neighbor impacts all the neighbors and their neighborhood. City codes are written to protect all parties. Voting yes would eliminate my neighborhood's biggest asset. My neighborhood is not exclusive, wealthy, or gated. It's not in a subdivision behind a wall. It doesn't have an HOA or a board of directors. We don't have irrigation or landscape architecture. But what we do have is more valuable. We have a community of quiet, kind, and considerate neighbors. I cannot understand why this request is under consideration. How can an automated car wash with 37 proposed free vacuum bays, a structure over 4,000 square feet full of automated machinery and high-capacity dryers be compatible, sandwiched between Loomis Funeral Home and Chapel and my house, which is over 115 years old? In an automated car wash industry report, professional car washing and detailing experts write this advice under the title Pain Points. OSHA regulation, which stands for Occupational Health and Safety Administration. OSHA regulation permit noise exposure levels up to 85 decibels for an 8-hour workday. According to Stuart Levy, president of Clean Car Wash Consulting, quote, noise truly is a danger. both to your employees' health and to the quality of life, end quote. To change the code is to give license to endanger my health. The city of Apopka doesn't currently have a noise ordinance. My family and I will live less than 50 yards from the proposed source of this noise all day, every day. OSHA regulations will protect the car wash employees, but who will protect my health and my well-being? The reality of voting yes will also destroy my neighborhood and decrease our residential property value with traffic, noise, exhaust, and continual activity. This is not liberty and justice for all. Why do people choose to live in Apopka? Well, I can tell you, it's not for an express car wash, fine dining, pawn shops, gas stations, fast food, or traffic flow. People choose to live in Apopka because there has always been a core group of leaders and residents who value the intangibles of history, family, tradition, great schools, and safe communities. They have valued people over profit, community over commercialism, and quiet over commerce for decades. The first owner of my house was the Apopka foliage pioneer, Harry P. Usler. His name is engraved on a giant fern in the front of this building. He is honored in the Creativity in Progress panel in a wall mural as you enter Apopka Elementary. But if you really want to honor Harry P. Usler, treat his neighborhood and his grandchildren as you would your own. Vote no. If you're not willing to have an automated car wash as your next-door neighbor, don't vote for another special exception that would make one mine. And just before I end, I want to address the concerns that were brought up by this gentleman here in regards to a cut-through from New Hampshire. It's already happening. People have torn down that rolling fence. They drive over it. They go right on through. We are less than maybe a little over a mile from Apopka High School. I mean, I was young. I know what it's like to be in your car and get out of school. You're going to head to the nearest exit. That's Maine, down to Old Dixie Highway by the Wawa, and that's New Hampshire, right by my house. Right now, there's a giant flag for ice cream hanging on one of the fences to this property. I don't sell ice cream. Why is it on Old Dixie Highway? Why is it in front of my house? You know why? Because there's a food truck, an ice cream food truck on 441. Why is the flag not on 441? Because it's already a cut-through. The tire shop does make noise. I hear its little generator and tire machine from about 9 to 5 every day. We're talking about 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. And in one of the letters that they wrote, the owners also said, we welcome fundraising. We actively promote fundraising. And so on my weekends, will I get to sleep in? Probably not. I'm going to hear car wash, radios, music, engines, and I'll get to smell exhaust. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Does anyone else here wish to speak on this matter? Okay. Seeing no further, we'll bring it back to the board for a motion. Would you like to speak, sir?
Yes, sir.
Name and address for the record.
My name is Brandon Peterson. My address is 1514 Clouser Avenue, Orlando, Florida, 32804. And I am the owner of the proposed car wash. And I wanted to note that I hear you and I understand where she's coming from. And there are a couple things that we've done additional that haven't been brought up to your attention that we wanted to address as far as the noise. One of the things that we are proposed to do, actually we are planning to do either way, there are silencers that is a newer equipment that we can purchase, and that's something that we are intending on doing either way. So that will actually keep a lot of the volume down. And currently, she's right. There are people that cut through there right now. And that's the way it is currently. Once we and so we do move forward, I don't want people cutting through there, which would eliminate the problem. I anticipate if there's people cutting through there, I'll be putting speed bumps in there before you guys could tell me to do it, because I don't want people cutting through the property. And the pork chop that we're looking to put in there in the end has been very, very thoroughly mentioned to us that we need to make sure it's a right in and a right out only. And that's gonna eliminate a lot of people wanting to cut in because they can't just go anywhere they want at that point. So I just wanted to make address a couple of the issues I was hearing with you guys to let you know that traffic is gonna be controlled. Also, if I can point at one other thing, the vacuums in here. Top one? There you go. The vacuums are only in the center. They're not on this side of the building, so this is a buffer, as he'd mentioned earlier, but they're also not down by the road, which is where the funeral home is. So you don't have a lot of noise towards the edge of either side. They're contained, more or less. So I just wanted to make a couple of notices to you guys about, we're very conscientious about the noise and the traffic. Like, it is a concern that we don't want people cutting through our property. We don't want to make a disturbance for any of our neighbors. And I will say, if it's not us, somebody's coming there to do traffic or business eventually. And one of the things that was noted by the city is they actually, for our car wash, they wanted to have dual access to the property. So that is a mandatory ask of the city. So, I mean, I totally understand where you're coming from, but I would totally do everything I can to be understanding to your position as well. I just wanted to make that a note to you guys, that we want to try to work with you guys as much as we can on those two things.
So you said it's an ask of the city, but would that make your business plan uneconomic if you already had?
It's actually a requirement.
Requirement.
2 access points.
That's what I guess I meant to
But
say.
so even if it's a requirement, would that totally destroy your business plan if you only had one?
No, it wouldn't at all.
Okay.
It wouldn't at all, but being that it's a requirement, I mean, we felt obligated that we had the ability to put it in the back, and the street's there. So, and what was the young lady's name that's up here sometimes she keeps bringing up the topic? Is it Pam or?
Oh, Pam, yeah.
Pam's kind of said if she sees traffic not abiding by the pork chop, that she would be quick to close that exit.
Yep.
So she's already made a note to us about that. And,
Well, if we're gonna consider closing it, why do we even, maybe this is something the full city commission should look at, addressing whether that needs to be a requirement or not. That's just what I'm getting at.
it's been a requirement.
Let's fix the problem first instead of try to address it after it's a major problem.
If I felt there was an issue with it, I would definitely close it, if need be, though.
Right, yeah, Gene just mentioned, it's a requirement for 2 access points, but it's also an emergency access point. For, if something happens on site, you got to be able to get the emergency vehicles on site.
Fire and police are very insistent on 2 access points.
And I have a fair bit of knowledge about the car wash industry. If there's anybody else that has any other questions, I would love to answer them for you guys.
Well, I have one problem.
Yes, sir.
I know there are several car washes in Seminole County and Orange County, but none of them are this close to a residential area. I just have a problem with that. I think it's the wrong business for that area.
Gotcha. Again, that buffer in the back is substantial, we felt like. A lot of the businesses don't have a 25-foot buffer. We pushed ourselves back, and then we put the building adjacent to the road, therefore it would deflect a lot of noise, and we're gonna have a lot of plants behind there. So I don't really think we're gonna have a very strong presence on Old Dixie, to be honest with you. I just don't see it. What my distribution manufacturing company had said, they thought about 15% of our business might come off that road.
Do you know of any other car washes in Orange County that are that close to residential area?
Yeah, I do. I sure do.
One right down the
There's an
street.
octopus on 1792 that backs up right to houses. Are you familiar with it?
1792, I'm familiar with
Yeah, you know where the
1792. Winter Park or
1792,
Maitland?
Virginia 1792, it's been there forever. The octopus right there. You familiar with it?
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
Virginia
That's a
and
good- that's a nice
1792 in
place.
Orlando?
You said Orlando, correct?
Orange County.
Yeah, that's right there. There's a 7-Eleven caddy corner.
Actually,
there's quite a few.
The Wash City Car Wash right down the road here on Cimarron backs up to an apartment complex.
And that's in Apopka.
Hey, I don't know how far that is because I can't see the. I know
It
there's a car
it
in front.
abuts the apartment complex. They share a property line.
I would almost consider having you guys think, if you think that it's really loud, it's not the old car washes that you think. A lot of this equipment's really up and modern, and it's not like it used to be.
Is there any wall around your business?
I'm sorry?
Is there a wall
I anticipate
On the
there
north
being.
side?
Yes, sir.
Pardon? What type of wall would it be?
We're talking about putting up a fence on the side of the, go ahead.
The only thing I was going to say, we're not proposing as a wall as far as like a screening wall, but that back part of the building is actually all enclosed, so there's no opening to have any noise from the equipment to actually go out and north side of the building. So on this side of the building here, on that's all going to be closed off to where there wouldn't be the ability for the noise actually from inside where the equipment is to get out to the north, to face the north.
The room's basically enclosed where the equipment is, besides the tunnel ends. So that's gonna eliminate any noise coming out from either side.
Eliminate any noise?
Well, from the longer sides. It won't be projected towards the house, basically. If the tunnel was facing the ends is where the noise would project. It's not facing towards the houses, basically, is what he
Yeah,
was
so what he's saying is basically any of the noise that come out from the tunnel area is actually going to be towards the commercials on both sides as opposed to north towards the residents. So out this end and that end towards the commercial properties as opposed to north towards the residents.
Jim Hitt,
I'm here.
the, you talked about the reason why there has to be 2 entrances for safety, for fire, police, what have you. But I use City Wash a lot myself. You know, it's a bigger piece of property. This is smaller. But I only see one way in and out for a city car wash. It's not like this one where you have,
They're directly adjacent to the frontage road. They can pop a curb, they can go in one side or the other side, but they can get there. It's a different type of model.
so because they have the, what do you call it, the frontage road?
Frontage road, yes.
That makes a difference?
Oh, yeah. It's accessible, completely accessible.
Okay. Now, if this special exception were to be approved, the gentleman is talking about all these improvements that he could make to satisfy noise issues and traffic issues. And it sounds like, well, if it's approved, I will do it. No, I'd like to see it in
He's
writing
already done
before it's
everything that the code allows and then some by doing a central car vacuum, the motors in the middle with an enclosure. So from there, the only thing that you have is the vacuum itself, not the motor, similar to what I think it's the Sweetwater car wash down by Wawa at Hiawassee 441. I don't know if you've ever used that one, but that one, they actually have the car vacuums right there at the car where you're vacuuming itself. This is a different model where they actually put the motors centrally located versus at each of the vacuum stations.
I understand that, but I think he's also saying that with the vacuum equipment itself, there's a way of minimizing the sound that it puts out. Did you say that?
There's what they have is called silencers, and they're actually a part of the car wash equipment. We've all driven through a car wash before. When you get to the end, the loudest part of it is the blowers that would blow off the water. And that is something I'm anticipating putting on this car wash, yes, sir. But
So
it's
you're
not
not-
gonna be shown in the drawing, I mean, it's in the equipment.
Let me interject. I think the confusion is here. The silencers he's speaking are internal to the actual car wash as you go through. And you're
Correct.
speaking about the vacuums themselves.
Yeah, I'm
If
confused.
the analogy or the difference would be the one by Wawa at Piedmont Wekiva, they have individual vacuums with motors and blowers right there. And then you go to the Sweetwater car wash over here, I think it's Sweetwater, whatever the one is. They have a giant blower unit inside a building, just like he was describing, and then a distribution. It's kind of like the old houses that had the vacuum in the garage. So all the noise is in that building instead of being individually. And by the way, the one over there behind Wawa backs up directly to houses. I know that. The one there's 3 houses right behind it, right behind that car wash.
But sir, to answer that question, I guess in another way, the motors for the vacuums on the outside here, all these vacuums, they're actually already, we have a wall around the motor. So that actually is keeping the silence, the quietness down for
So
those houses.
so that's your plan right now, there's not an afterthought later on to do
No,
this?
it's already shown right here. Yeah, we already
on.
have a drawing with the square around the motors right there. So we've already contained the noise outside, and we're containing the noise inside. So we've already thought of all this to try to be as helpful as possible, you know? So that's our goal. We understand, and we don't want to be a racket or a nuisance. We come in here trying to be as, you know, best well-suited as we can. If there's anything else,
Any more questions?
No, sir.
thank you guys for your time.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Gene, can you change back to the overlay of the surrounding area, the aerial view?
This one?
Correct. I'm just curious, I drove by and looked at it, but how far away is that from that Wawa convenience store? It's,
I'll tell you in a second.
you can see that right at the corner, right?
Yeah, 50. It's about, one, two, it's about 270 feet away.
And again, I understand the concerns of a homeowner, and the reciprocal of that is that that's a, you know, commercial area that's being built up, and from personal experience, I know that Wawa is incredibly loud at 11 o'clock at night. There's music blaring and cars zooming in and out of there. So I would think in the bigger picture, of course, adding something to it exacerbates the problem, but, you know, it's, gosh, I don't want to minimize it, but it's not like that's peaceful and serene and quiet back there at night. It's not. Apopka Boulevard in that area is pretty loud, and I don't know that the car wash itself, closing at 8 o'clock at night is going to be, you know, the source of a noise or irritant in that area. Again, it's a frontage road. You know, Apopka Boulevard is right up against a large commercial area and a large, you know, thoroughfare, so I just think that's, you know, an outcropping of where it's at. There's been commercial buildings there. I don't know what was on that particular property before, but it's,
Yeah.
well, it's difficult to try and balance the concerns of the property owner and the concerns of the homeowner, but it's also the area is just, you know, likely to be noisy and busy regardless of whether this is in or out, and he made the valid point that something's going there. So.
Yeah, I agree with that. The thing I'm struggling with here is that road cut through. And given that the potential property developer said it's not a requirement for business, but it is a requirement within the city regulations, is there some way that we could come up with a middle ground on there and say, if we're gonna have a back, could we close it after business hours to keep people from coming through there because, so it closed 8 o'clock at night. 8:30, people are gonna be driving through there. You know, there's nobody there to stop it if there's not a gate or something. And I can say that Sweetwater Car Wash, there is a gate that comes down to keep people from driving through
Well,
there.
perhaps we could ask the engineer or the applicant to come back and answer that. Is there going to be a gate or a limiter?
I was actually anticipating putting some kind of a stoppage up at nighttime to where I don't want people on my property for liability purposes.
I know, I think what he's speaking of, like at the car wash, Sweetwater, if I get that right, the one down here on 436, there's literally gates in it. Now, of course, it doesn't matter, people aren't cutting through
that can be
but
part
there's
of your
an electronic
recommendation.
gate that you have to pull up.
Yeah, you
I
can't stop
agree.
them, but yeah.
I agree, 100%, 100%.
Yeah, and it protects you as well as the owner of the property. You don't want people doing burnouts on your property in the middle of the
No, I
night.
don't want people on the property if we're
Right.
not there. No, I agree 100%.
Yeah, I mean, can we do that, if we approve this project, can we add that as a condition?
Yes, you
And make
can.
it legally, that
Yes.
there would have to be
Request that it had some kind of limiting the gate. or
traffic
something, you can
limiting
add that.
off hours, and would that address some of the
I'm correct then,
concerns?
Jim, right?
Would
We
that
can
address
add
some of
that
the
as an
concerns
asterisk
of
to it.
the?
Yeah, that, you can put that as part of the requirement that they
Close off access after business
close
hours.
access after hours.
I'm happy to do that, to be honest with you.
And
Yeah.
would that address,
Yeah.
I'm thinking the same
Yeah,
thing.
I'm happy to do that.
You
Good,
can
good,
simply
thank you.
make that as part of your motion.
and let me ask a question, would that address some of the concerns of the other party that was not happy with the development?
Would that help you feel in any way, knowing that was actually closed at night?
A gate would help tremendously, but,
It's not your first choice, I understand.
right, my house is wooden office, medical, dentist, restaurant.
I understand. your
Something.
concern,
I
yeah.
mean, it doesn't have to be every day, 12 hours a day.
Okay, ma'am.
It's nothing personal.
Ma'am, thank you. You've had your chance to speak. Go ahead.
I'm happy to put that wall up, just so you guys know there are a sliding gate, so no accessibility
All right.
throughout this time.
Thank
I
you.
have one more question, Mr. Chairman. Much like City Car Wash, I think that's what it's called,
Wash City?
they have a sound system and they're playing music to entertain their customers.
Correct.
Are
And
you going to
there's-
do the same thing?
There's actually a very valid reasoning that they do that compared to some other car washes. And if you go to some car washes that are kind of not as decently put together, you could say, they don't have a sound system. And the reason or the logic behind that is if they're not playing music, and then when they do play music, by the way, you literally can't hear it. If you're vacuuming, I mean, you can't hear their sound system from far away. It's very low. But the reason that they put it there is so that they can control the environment. Because at that point, they put up signs that says, we play the music here, not you. Please keep your volume down. Because if you don't play the music, you do get people pulling up, turning up their music that nobody wants to hear. And we've all seen that guy down, at the end of the road is just blaring. And that's why, it's a very low grade volume. But at this point, they control the environment. And then if somebody is not following, the rules, kind of so to say, they go up and say, excuse me, sir, the sign's posted. We'd like to keep the volume down here. So it's actually something that it's been kind of corrected over the years with the car washes, because you did get that in prior car washes, yes, sir. So to answer your question, yes, but it's actually a fix from a problem that was having.
Okay, I understand, that makes sense. Will Ms. Ostler hear it?
I'm sorry?
Will Ms. Ostler hear the music?
I
Even
would-
though it's low level?
Yeah,
understand?
correct. I do not assume so at all. I'm not intending to play anything to where anybody's gonna hear it outside the property.
You don't intend,
I mean,
but
no,
in reality,
I
you
can tell
can
you-
theoretically do anything you want within the limits of,
Right.
the problem that I'm having, I've listened, to every word trying to justify this. And the problem that I'm having is here in town, we have so many incredible historic places. They're going under the plow. They're going, they're being surrounded and squeezed out. And I don't know, I just, I think we don't, when we're thinking about the contingent areas as we're planning development, we don't necessarily think of how it's going to affect those surrounding, the families, the homes, et cetera. Some of the newer homes, like over around, what was that street over there? Mount Pleasant or something, whatever it was, where that was all gonna go through. But the apartment complex is brand new. You probably wouldn't even hear a gunshot out in the street because the houses are very sound and et cetera. But I just have a problem with that kind of, if it was an office building, I wouldn't have a problem at all.
Can I ask a question?
So,
Have you seen what the Wash City, have you guys noticed what they look like appearance-wise? It's a very clean, modern, it's a very nice look, it's a very clean look. And from what it is now compared to what it will be, I think it's a massive improvement in your major corridor that when you guys drive down 441 compared to the way things look right now. I think you would actually be very surprised on how nice this would look when you drive down 441 compared to the building and the overgrown area that it is currently. I think
well,
you'd be
I'm more concerned with the quality of life of the citizens of the city of Apopka. And I think about the things that we've done, things that we haven't done, and the things that we might do. And all of that has to factor in. Growth is inevitable, all well and good. And I understand that. But when a car comes out of the car wash, even with the blowers, the underbelly is still going to be wet. And, I keep envisioning people peeling off. So, and that would be a danger at some level. So
That's one-
anyway, that's all
Yeah,
right.
that's one of the reasons why they started doing the vacuums after the car wash rather than before, so that they don't go out on the road with it wet still and have soap and things like that. That was a problem that one of the car washes down in Claremont had, is that they did the vacuums first, and then they went through, and then they went out on one of the side roads, and it got dirty and messy and, quite frankly, not safe. So that's one of the questions that I had asked I've talked to a few different car wash people, and that's why they're doing it in this fashion, doing it after the fact.
One thing, if I can, to address your point about servicing the community and what's good for the community. A few of the options that we're going to offer is going to be free towels. So people can dry off their car so that after they get out, they are going to be able to dry off their car. We're also going to offer free air to spray out, the cracks and crevices in your seat. And one thing we're doing additional that most car washes aren't going to be doing, which is we're going to actually add an ability to check your tire pressure and fill up your tire to the right. And that's all free after you go through the car wash. So it's going to be enticing after you leave the tunnel to actually stop and use the free amenities. That's what people are paying for. So a lot of people are not going to leave the tunnel and just get on the road. They're actually going to pull into a spot and use the free amenities afterwards. So that's kind of the direction that we're trying to go. So it's going to be a service that people can use.
Thank you.
I have another question for you. What about lighting? Lighting.
Yeah.
So I'm just imagining living next door.
All lighting has to be, all lighting has to be per code. You cannot have much more than, I believe it's 1 foot candle at the property line. So it's not going to bleed over.
Okay, so will there be any signage on the buildings, your
Just our standard, what we're allowed for, there's a dollar store across the street, or I think it's Family Dollar, what is that almost?
We just comply with
Yeah,
the city code.
Whatever the code is.
whatever the code is?
Yeah, that's all, we're not asking for anything special or extra.
Okay, and Jim, the code says that the lighting will be
1 foot candle.
soft, not blaring, blinking at you?
It's 1 foot candle at the property line. That's basically it's not a street light, which they do have along Old Dixie. There's different portions that do have street lights, and it's less than that.
So not like the convenience stores that I think they used to require like 2 foot candlelight?
Say again?
Not like convenience stores
Correct.
that used to require,
Yeah,
I don't know if they still
wanna
do, they
light
used to
their
require
parking
like
lot
2
up
foot.
like crazy, and that's for a safety thing because people are going in and out of, carrying groceries and things like that, even grocery stores.
I'm not imagining a lot of lighting need if we're not operating at night, to be honest with you, which we're not.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question. Jim, are we concerned about stacking? I mean, I don't know how far into the property the pay module is.
We've actually, that has been a concern that we were asked, that's why we laid it out the way we did. So stacking is actually gonna begin here. We have quite a bit, I don't know, Greg, if you know how much, but this is all stacking, and this is quite a bit of stacking that goes all the way through. And these are gonna be self-prep, so you'll have, basically when you pull in, these are gonna be buckets that you can grab, kind of a brush, if you got love bugs, stuff like that, before you even get up to the wash. If you wanna kinda hit your rims, bugs,
Right,
anything like that, it gives you a little bit of ability to specialize on what part of the vehicle that you wanted to, maybe somebody got paint on your car or something like that. These are just self-prep, and this is all stacking lane here. So this is pretty significant.
Okay.
So basically from that corner, about the curve up to the pay stations, that's roughly about 100 feet. So you'd end up basically getting about 5 cars on each road. So you've got at least 10 cars before you even get down to the corner. Plus you got the extra distance to back up. So we've tried to push it around there to try to make sure cars aren't going to back up out onto 441.
Thank you.
Good question.
Thank you.
Any further questions?
I have one more. If I could.
I'm sorry, you can come back up.
In the paperwork that Jean sent me for the concept plan back in January, there was a retention pond. Is there a retention pond on this plan?
There's a small retention pond. Most of the stormwater is actually going to be underground. These cross-hatched areas here that are within the drive air lanes, that's where a majority of the stormwater is going to be in underground perforated pipes to hold the water percolated into the ground. And then there's a small shallow swale that runs around that'll help collect some of the water from the outside and ultimately discharge off-site as it does today.
Where does the runoff go? Because on my property, there's a small pond.
What will happen is that currently the water for most of the property actually goes up and gets into an inlet that's right here. So basically about this much of the property is going there, and we're going to continue to do discharge no more water than what's already going to that inlet and continue to go exactly as it is today. Which it goes into the piping system along the roadway that's owned by the county. And I think it actually goes down here, and there's a pipe that runs along here that I think heads north from it. That'd just be following the same pattern.
Yeah, there's a drain.
Top button.
Top button?
Yeah, there.
Right here. Used to be called Namlex. I don't know, there's an entrance to the car shop here, and it's right here, and that drain right there drains to my pond right back here.
So what would happen is that right now, there's an inlet also right here, and that inlet does connect to this inlet, and then that's where it goes north. So we'd be going into the same inlet that it does today, and then going out. And so we got to meet those certain requirements from the city and also from the state with regards to St. John's in order to take and treat the water on site, in order to take and hold a certain amount on site before you discharge. Then once we discharge, we'll do the same discharge as it is today, and not discharge any additional.
Thank you. Any further questions? Any further discussion?
I think, no, I say I think this is obviously a challenging one, because when I think of that property, I just don't see a use case where a doctor's office or an office building would go there, you know, surrounded by gas stations and automotive supplies and car sales. I think this is a congruent usage, and it's obviously a challenging one, but I'm okay with supporting it as long as we make sure that two things happen. One is that the roadways are closed when the business is not operating. And two is that the business owner is and appears to be very open-minded to improving the property and addresses any concerns that come up as much as he can. And I feel that that would happen.
All righty, bring it to the board for a motion.
And you can add that required gate closure
Blocking access.
after
And
hours.
I can do this motion. Did you have a comment, sir?
No, I'm good.
Oh, okay. I didn't want to cut you off.
No.
Okay, so I can do the motion?
And then at the end of it, then you add
Then I
with
will
the,
add. Right, okay. Approve a special exemption to allow an enclosed car wash within the MUD, mixed-use downtown zoning district, subject to the exhibits and finding of the staff report. Subject to the condition that the roadways be closed when the business is not open for business, and the business owner is responsive to any flooding or concerns from the property owners nearby as much as possible within the law. Maybe I should take that last part out.
yeah.
That seems a little
That would be a
compound.
question for legal
Mr.
counsel.
Rodriguez.
I don't know if we can
Yeah,
hold him accountable for the
Okay,
county's drainage.
so why don't
No,
we just
it's-
add the first part with
Okay.
the subject, okay, so
Right.
let me strike
So
that and I'll start over.
Restate that if you would, and just,
So, sorry,
Nice try there.
yeah. Okay, I'm gonna start over. I'm gonna strike that and remove my previous motion. I'll start a new motion.
okay.
Does that work legally?
Just, I mean, state your
Your add-on.
You're adding a motion, you're moving to approve the special exception pursuant to staff's recommendation, adding a condition of approval which states that the access points are to be closed, providing some type of a barrier or gate during non-business hours. I would add to make sure that whatever barriers are placed, that there be some form of access for emergency services after hours,
In
like a
accordance
Knox
with-
box or those issues.
yeah, in accordance
So in accordance with the requirements of either the police department or the fire department for such access in the event of an unlikely or even unforeseen, but you never know, an emergency on the site where they need to get through that gate.
Okay, let's try this.
Well, that sounds.
Oh, that's it, you can just say
second
as
that.
provided, that's your motion.
Can we just second that?
Yeah, as,
So do I have to read it or?
no, you can state, I move as stated.
I move as stated.
There we go. Do I have a second?
I second it. I second it.
Commissioner Washington, thank you. We have a motion and a second with an exception. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All righty.
Well, that was fun.
On to more mundane things. All righty. Item 3 of the site plans, Laurel Oaks Single Family Major Development Plan. Owner Diane Reed Goolsby, Deborah Reed Wilbarger, Diane Donahoe, and Dwana McClure. Location is east of State Road 429, west of Plymouth Sorrento Road, and south of Kelly Park Road.
Jean Sanchez with the Planning and Zoning Division. This is a request to recommend approval of the Laurel Oaks Single Family Major Development Plan. The property is approximately 41 acres situated east of State Road 429, west of Plymouth Sorrento Road, south of Kelly Park Road, and north of Joey McGuckin Road. The Laurel Oaks Single Family Major Development Plan proposes the development of a 121-lot subdivision consisting of single-family detached residences. The residential units will have a minimum lot width of 55 feet. There are no minimum or maximum living area standards and lot size requirements in the KPI form-based code area. The KPI form-based code requires developments within the neighborhood overlay to dedicate a minimum of 20% of land area for open space. The applicant proposes an amenity open space package that consists of 23% of the project area, including an 8-foot wide multipurpose trail from the southern end of the subdivision to the north terminus to promote connectivity between developments. Also to encourage pedestrian traffic away from Plymouth Sorrento Road and lead to an internal passive path. Stormwater ponds are amenitized with a 5-foot wide path and seating areas. The applicant is also providing a pool and a cabana. One of the proposed access points consists of access along Plymouth Sorrento Road. Additionally, an internal roadway is proposed to connect north for future development and planned thoroughfare that will also connect to Kelly Park Road and align with the access of the Winding Meadows North residential subdivision on the south. The DRC recommends approval, and the recommended motion is to recommend approval of the Laurel Oaks Single Family Major Development Plan. Staff and applicant are available for questions.
Thank you. Anyone have questions of staff?
I got a couple questions.
Okay,
Sorry.
Commissioner Dumey?
So when I was looking through this one, as I mentioned the last meeting, I'm very interested in the foliage plans for these kind of developments. And I noticed that there was a heck of a lot of trees that were being torn down, oak trees, which is kind of ironic given it's called Laurel Oak. But the question I had was that I was looking through the replacement trees, and there was a lot of maples and holly and other type of trees. And I understand it's probably all done to city code. Yes. But again, those aren't necessarily native trees in that area, in the northwest area of our city, you know. And as best I could tell, I think it was an autumn maple isn't a native tree to Florida. That variant that was listed in here, best I could tell. And so my question is, and it's just a thought, and you guys can take this back, but is there some way that we can make sure that when these developments are done, the trees are put back that similar to what we're taking out?
Sure. Each one of these development plans are required to have a landscape plan by a Florida licensed landscape architect. And we also subscribe to UF-IFAS list of native trees.
Right, that's what I was looking at.
Yeah. So we can certainly make sure of that, but based on our list, they met code. They're also required to have retention of canopy trees that are existing on site, which they also have met. And also, because the KPI has smaller lots, We do have to be diligent in what we allow for street trees, and I know that developers have a hard time right now with trying to fit all the utilities and things like that within certain easements. So we're a little bit tight for space in terms of certain larger type of shade trees.
What we're trying to do is push the, if they want to do live oaks, not laurels.
Right.
If they want to do live oaks, we try to push those to the exterior, the buffer areas, the pond areas, things like that, versus street trees like Gene mentioned. The street trees, we are having issues with those. Most all cities, because that was the cheap tree to go to, they were fast growers,
Right, yeah.
and the problem was that they have very aggressive root structures that damage sidewalks, and they damage utilities, and they damage streets. So we've gone away from that. So obviously, when we try to get a street tree, we're going with ones that are a little bit less root aggressive. And in doing those oak trees, everybody loves an oak tree when they get nice and big and they have the good look, but you got to have it in the right place nowadays.
So did you say that, because I thought that maple tree was one that had a really aggressive root structure and brought up the roads?
Maple tree's not quite as bad as a live oak.
So-
They also grow slower.
A lot of the times too, we do require when staff determines that they are required to have root barriers on some of these trees if we're not able to meet plant size with requirements to the best of their ability, so.
Yep.
Well, it's met the code, so I just wanted to state my thoughts on that. So-
Yeah.
All right. Any more questions of staff?
Sir.
Any questions for the applicant?
Yes, sir.
All right, bring it back to this. Or anyone from the public here to speak on this matter? All right, bring it back to the board for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we find the proposed Laurel Oak Single Home Major Development Plan consistent with the Comprehensive Plan and Land Development Code, and recommend approval of the Major Development Plan based on the findings and facts presented in the staff reports and exhibits.
Thank you. Commissioner Norwood made a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Ryan. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Righty. We are on the logistics 429 as our final item of the evening, retaining wall height variance. This is quasi judicial. I have to ask, has anyone of the board had ex parte communication on this matter?
No.
Yes, sir.
All righty. Summary, it's Ridge 429 Owner LLC, care of Mark Smiley P.E., 1403 South Binion Road. Request to approve a variance to allow maximum retaining wall height of 15 feet in lieu of 6 feet.
Again, Jean Sanchez with the Planning and Zoning Division. This is a variance request in reference to the industrial portion of the Ridge Plan Development. The applicant is requesting a variance to allow maximum retaining wall height of 15 feet in lieu of 6 feet. The applicant is requesting a variance from Land Development Code Section 5.5.11, in which retaining walls are restricted to a maximum height of 6 feet. The applicant asserts that to accommodate the steep slope on the western side of the property, the proposed retaining walls exceed 6 feet in height in this area, requesting the 15-foot height. Shown are the renderings of the proposed retaining walls. The variance process includes 2 steps. The first step is that the Planning Commission shall make an initial determination of the sections 2.5.5A, 5A, 1 through 3 as outlined in the staff report. And step 2 is once a positive initial determination is made, the commission shall make positive findings that the applicant demonstrates there is competent substantial evidence in the record on each of the 9 items as listed on your staff report. There are no objections from staff on the 9 variance criteria responses. The Development Review Committee, including the city engineer, has no objection to the applicant's request. For Land Development Code Section 2.5, the Planning Commission decision shall be one of the following. approval of the variance subject to modification and/or condition, or denial of the variance. Staff and applicant are available for questions.
Thank you. Anyone have questions of staff?
Yes, I do. So the retaining wall won't be higher than necessary, I assume, correct?
Correct.
And there'll be a metal fence on top of it?
Yes, sir.
Like an illustrated,
Yep.
just like that? Okay.
Yeah, they've got a metal fence on
And you
top.
won't be able to see this from 429?
Nope.
Why do we have a
it's-
restriction on retaining wall because of only 6 feet?
Say again?
Why do we have a restriction on retaining walls at 6 feet?
It's basically for view. When you have a retaining wall that's 6 feet, you can usually put a shrub or something in front of it so that it looks not like a big wall. And also, most fences are 6 foot tall, so we usually limit the retaining wall to 6 feet.
But this is gonna look like a big wall.
This is definitely a big wall, but it is interior.
Okay, you can't hide that.
If you are on site doing business at that location, yes, you will see it.
Okay.
But from a normal road, either the road along the 414.
From outside the property, you won't be able to see it.
Correct,
Okay.
correct. And even the interior of the development, you won't be able to see it unless you're actually doing business at that site, driving a big truck or something like that.
I'm good with that, thank you.
Sure.
Apopka's height sensitive, aren't we? We don't like big, tall buildings or big, tall walls. Refreshingly, this is the first time ever that we have a variance that actually is the character of the land. God forbid, we have one that actually fits the plan.
Oh, I got.
Well, the Winn-Dixie wall worked pretty good too because of the lay of the land.
Yeah, and usually it's unusual. I want more of a wall instead of less of a wall, but.
Yeah, yes.
As soon as I read that, I thought, wow, now that's the character of the land.
I have one more question.
Okay, Commissioner Ryan.
I should have asked this first. Do we have a definition for hardship?
Hasn't been defined yet, where that's still, it hasn't been defined in the ordinance. We haven't brought it forward as an ordinance for definition. We have a proposal that is going to, which you can use. This is the kind of industry standard for what constitutes a hardship.
Can you
And
share
Jim
that
has
with
it, he
us?
can read it.
Yeah, the way it reads right now, it says, the purpose of this section is to establish a uniform mechanism to allow certain variances from the dimensional standards such as height, yard setback, and lot area, and certain development standards of the Land Development Code, Article 5, when their strict application would result in unnecessary hardship. That one, it's applicable for this and for Winn-Dixie. However, what we're proposing, this is one of the proposals we got, is a hardship generally occurs when the physical characteristics of a property are such that it cannot be used for any purpose permitted by the Land Development Code. A hardship may be created by the surroundings, shape, or topographical conditions particular to that specific property. However, the hardship cannot be self-imposed or the result of a property owner's own action. So that way, that would still work for this type of a property because it is the property itself that is roly-poly, I guess. I don't know, that's a great word, but it's roly or, we had the same problem when I was down in Claremont. Claremont's a lot more, they've got a lot more ridges.
That'll come in front of us when you change it?
Yes, yeah, that'll be part of one of our glitch amendments that we're outlining right now. I'm trying to wait till after the budget gets done in the end of September, and so we'll probably be bringing it before you October or November, more than likely November, December.
Thank you very much.
Sure, thank you.
Any further questions? All right. We won't get greedy. We got one that fits the definition. All right. Does anyone here wish to speak on this matter? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the board for a motion.
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chairman, to approve a variance to allow maximum retaining wall height of 15 feet in lieu of the 6 feet, subject to the exhibits and findings of the staff report.
Thank you, Commissioner Stanley. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Norwood. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Variance granted. All righty. Well, we just went over the old business, but do we have any further old business?
I just
we-
have one thing.
Okay.
A correction, something I said last time, this has bothered me a little bit, because I said I would be objective when it comes to the opinions and subjective land development code, but I actually had that reversed. So whenever I was giving my speech, I wanted to make sure I used the words correctly. I'll
The only
be
person
objective
paid
to the land.
attention to that or remember that would be you.
Yeah. So be factually correct.
No
Thank
problem,
you.
we have it on the record.
Thank you.
All right, any new business? All right, meeting adjourned.
Thank you, everyone.